There are undisputed, iconic course features in cyclocross. The Dekiel Sand Pit at Zonhoven, the dunes of Koksijde, the Koppenberg Cross Climb, and the legendary Off-Camber at Namur. On its face, a grassy hillside doesn't seem like a likely place to garner iconic status. But the makeup of this certain hillside is steeped in history, and, well, just a lot steeper than it appears. Take Mathieu van der Poel, for instance. It can be seen as the launching ground for recent back-to-back wins in 2019, 2020, but it can also be remembered as a cause and culmination of what may be Van der Poel's most frustrating race ever. It is a feature that I have always loved, but one that I fear may have lost its teeth in the past few years. We're going to try to figure out why that might be on the latest episode of CXs and Os. Before we get to the nitty-gritty of what makes this feature special, let's take a look back at some of the great moments in the history of this nondescript, grassy hillside. In 2013, the French champ Francis Moret got out early and looked to be on a phenomenal day. Sven Nys, having crashed hard the day before, was nursing a wrist injury and got off to a slow start. So the storylines were Maury out front and Sven playing Belgian Frogger, winding his way through the scrub zone. He even falls on his injured wrist in lap 2. By lap 6, Maury was comfortably out front and Sven was starting to warm up. He's come from 36 to catch the chasers and then runs the high line to pass everyone. But what the Off-Camber gives, the Off-Camber takes away. With the chalkboard showing a 20-second deficit, Sven pushes the speed beyond the speed limit and pays the price. Maury takes a huge win, and the Off-Camber's legend grows. In the 2014 women's race, world champ Mariana Voss got off to a big lead, successfully running the Off-Camber. By lap 3, she is pursued by Katarina Nash. On lap 4, Nash's ability to ride the Off-Camber when Voss has to dismount seals the deal and catapults Nash to the victory. In 2015, Wout, Mathieu, and Kevin Powles performed synchronized cyclocrossing as they kick-pushed their way across the high line lap after nail-biting lap, before Van der Poel finally takes the win against who else but Wout van Aert. In 2016, Nash is at it again, leading the field in the final lap when Sophie de Boer uses the Off-Camber to close the gap and make the race a nail-biter to the end, when Nash is again able to separate herself and take the win. Also in 2016, Wout van Aert crashes twice in the exact same spot, the second time completely disappearing under the fencing. Yet Wout was able to recover to give Mathieu van der Poel a race to the finish. And then in 2019, everything seemed to change. A distinct line formed down the middle of the feature, and the legend seemed to lose some of its luster. Not content with the legendary, iconic feature they already had, the Namur organizers put in new sectors that stole focus from the Off-Camber for their sheer danger factor. Had the Off-Camber become a non-factor? Have the days of cyclocross ballet passed us by? Let's dive in a little deeper and see if we can figure out what changed. Most of the time when you see the feature on camera, it's from the straight-on view that tends to flatten out the left-to-right drop of the hillside. But on the rare occasion that we get a camera set up on the side, we get a nice look at the distinct tiers that make up the Off-Camber. If it's true the feature is less exciting for the viewer in the past 2 seasons, that it remains a sketchy, challenging, one mistake is all it takes for disaster part of the course remains intact. The first distinct change I want to look at is the evolving course layout. For years, riders entered from above the feature, did a 180 around a telephone pole, and then had to orient themselves after the turn. In recent years, riders entered from below and get a nice straight angle and clear view of the feature. When I first saw the layout this year, I thought that maybe the spot on the hillside had changed or the width of the feature had tightened. But after comparing year to year, it doesn't look like it has. To get a better view of what racers see coming into the Off-Camber, let's hop on board with Curtis White from CannondaleCyclocrossWorld.com.
Now there are a couple different options into this off-camber, low, high, and middle. I preferred the middle line because it was a little bit wider. We see Van der Poel choose that. Both Timon and Kevin both come back up, and you'll start to see just how fast and composed you need to be. There are a couple ruts in this off-camber here, but just to follow the speed and finesse of Van der Poel, it's really challenging. You just saw Timon lose a little bit, have to take the foot out, tripod.
As you could see from Curtis's video, there is a nice straight line down the middle of the track. And this is the biggest difference between now and before. In the past, that line did not exist as a distinct throughway. Most racers would choose the high line or the low line or even bounce around the middle, but each was fraught with peril and there was a premium on good balancing skills and a skateboarding background. But does that mean that it's now faster? Let's put up some clocks and find out for ourselves. On the left will be Tom Pidcock in 2020, and on the right will be Lars van der Haar in blue in 2014. The start line for our clock is the telephone pole at the beginning of the feature. As we work our way down the off-camber, you can use the ivy-covered tree as a landmark for when the finish is approaching. Even if the start and finish is off a little in each, the feature has definitely become faster, with Pidcock gaining 4 or 5 seconds on 2014 Van der Haar. That doesn't mean it's a walk in the park, but it's no longer the nail-biting, deciding factor that it was in the past. The erosion of the hillside and the development of that fast center lane has completely changed the tactical approach to Namur. The smoothing out of the topography has deprived us of a beautiful and unique aspect of cyclocross and taken away an iconic feature. My personal plea is that the Namur race organizers get in there with a rototiller, take away all the ridges, replant new grass, and start fresh next year. Let's bring back the glory and awe of the Namur off-camber for years to come. And that's it. What's your takeaway from this feature? Let me know in the comments below. And please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share. If you'd like even more cyclocross coverage, sign up for the CX Hairs Bulletin. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, cyclocross friends.